Alrighty, good evening, everybody. This is the Newbury Zoning Board of Appeals. It is Thursday, January 15th, 2026. The time is 7:30. We're here at the municipal offices at 12 Kent Way in Fifield in the second floor hearing room. And with us, we have Chrissy Beaupre, who is our administrative assistant. I'm Eric Swan, the chair. Mario Arambali is a member. Michelle Wheeler is an associate member. Jack Kelly is a member. And Larry Murphy is our liaison to the planning board. So, with that, let's open the first hearing.
Okay, Michelle Latanzolo, 25 Harvard Way. The applicant is requesting a special permit for relief from section 97-4D5C01, increase in footprint, and 02, increase in height of the Newbury zoning bylaws, and any other permit relief as may be required under the town of Newbury zoning bylaws to allow the proposed project for additions and renovations to the existing dwelling, which consists of an expanded deck, screened-in porch, an enclosed entry stair with mudroom, and a new exterior stair up to the roof deck on the property located at 25 Harvard Way, Plum Island, Newbury, Mass. 01951, Assessors Map U01, Lot 154B.
And this is a continuance from 115.
Yes. Revised application.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, there you are.
Good evening, thank you.
Good evening.
Jeff Roloffs, counsel to the applicants. You may have noticed I wasn't involved with the first hearing. The applicants, Michelle and Bill, got in touch with me after the first hearing with the understanding that there were a couple of zoning regulatory type issues that maybe I could help out with. And as I understood it from discussing the project with them and their architect, Gene Allen, who's with me this evening, there were really two issues. One related to the height of the proposed structures, improvements, but in particular related to the roof deck that they've proposed. The second issue related to the apron enclosure sort of around the bottom of that deck, concealing the framing. With respect to the height, I started looking into how height is measured in a context like this under the zoning bylaw. And what I found was that there's no real clear answer on that. And in discussions with Gene, it became apparent that it's an issue that we may not have to wrestle down here if there's a way to just comply with the height requirement, even if you were to interpret the provisions to treat the roof deck as the top of the roof. So Gene has gone ahead and revised the improvements to bring the roof deck down below the 35-foot height limit. It's at 34 feet 10 inches, I believe. Right. So our conclusion there was, rather than wrestling over whether or not the height should be measured in some other way, let's just meet and comply with the requirement with the highest part of the structure. So that's what you saw in the submittal that came in a week or so ago through Gene's letter. The second part of it related to the apron enclosure. And as Gene's explained it, and my clients have explained it to me, there's really two purposes for that enclosure. And this is under the roof deck, sort of a shingled apron that conceals the framing underneath the roof deck. So there's an aesthetic value that Gene and my clients believe is added by the feature, in addition to there being a structural value. If we were to do away with the apron, there would have to be some reinforcement of the framing. It just wouldn't look as nice. There's a wind shear issue that the apron sort of addresses. So there's aesthetic reasons for having it as well as structural. In Gene's submittal, as I encouraged her to do, she provided you with elevations and images that would allow you to compare the structure as proposed with the apron from different perspectives and without. And our hope there was that you would agree, at least aesthetically, that with the apron looks better. And it's also consistent with other structures on Plum Island. I didn't see anything in the zoning bylaw that gave me any reason to think that there was a problem with the apron. If you feel differently, I'd like to just talk through it with you, because I didn't see anything that presented any problems, and Peter Burnett also didn't believe that there were any zoning compliance issues or building code issues associated with the apron. So we hope that we've addressed the concerns that were raised. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate the first one in terms of the height, because we could go around for months. It is a little bit unclear, but we are under the purview of having a bylaw that there is some height limit, and we are trying to work within that to be equitable across the board, and certainly putting a flat deck on top of a ridge line adds mass to a building. So adding mass, and in the intent of the bylaw, and especially the PIOD of blocking light, of blocking air, and creating more density or increased or exacerbated density is where the thought that we view proposed projects and what that means. The roof deck, creatively done, is looked at very closely every single time. So for number one, at least I brought that up, and I was the one that proposed if you just bring it down a few inches, you know, the flat roof, if someone wants to challenge it, it's a flat roof and it's below the height. What are we gonna say?
Right.
So, you know, to me, that was what I thought, and that to me meets the intent of being under 35 feet height. You guys?
Agreed, I like it.
Feeling
I'll
good?
go with that too.
All right, so we seem to be in agreement on number one.
Great.
Number two is along the same lines, and appreciate the presentation and the argument for aesthetic value and structural value. Certainly won't argue the structural value, and I can believe that's plausible, even though we don't have structural drawings in front of us, to say that there was, in order to get the apron, you would have some horizontal framing members in order to hold the backing for all the shingles. And the aesthetic value is, in our view, we may have opinions about aesthetics, but we're really not here, and there is no bylaw that gives us any kind of guidance to say we don't like it white, or we don't like shingles, or anything like that. So we're not really not passing aesthetic value. And to me, that goes back to the comments of the density of light and air, and is something being added to a property that, in all intents, meets the bylaws, but is bigger. And on Plum Island, we have the PIOD, and in that is the judgment of how what is proposed meeting within the defined dimensional requirements that are given, and then there is leeway to judge on how what is being proposed is fitting within the existing neighborhood, so as not to be more detrimental. So that's where the thought of, you know, adding another, you know, someone else might come in and argue against and say, look, they're adding another floor, and you've got 3 floors on your house, and the flat roof on top of the ridge is a whole other floor, and we could be debating that for a long time. So adding a skirt just seemed to add mass. Truthfully, if for the elevations that are presented now, after a little time has gone by, it doesn't look as massive to me as it did previously. And maybe it was with the height and the skirt were acting together, and if the height now is resolved, then maybe the skirt isn't as big an issue. All right, I talked a lot, so do you guys have anything to say or add or conclude?
Not good.
You're good?
Well, I just have a point of clarification on the, and by the way, this was a good idea, whoever came up with the drawings with the skirt, without the skirt, because I personally prefer it with the skirt, although that's not one of the issues that we decide on, like the chairman says, perfect. There's a picture on the, there's a line on the roof deck without the skirt where it's clearly pointing to the deck framing, and it says vinyl cedar shapes typical throughout. I think that's just an error that didn't mean to be there. Am I right? It's on page A2.
Give me 1 second, Gene. I'm going to ask you to just come up here and adjust that, please.
I think it just got carried through for some reason.
Right.
Oh, you're fine.
Cedar shapes, right, is that the note?
Yeah, this one right here. We don't really want that there, do we? Or am I missing something?
the roof steps in at that point, that is that, and
That's
then,
Typical.
It's a note that just wasn't turned off for the non-skirt.
That's what I thought, but I'm just asking.
Typical
oh,
throughout.
okay, yeah, that,
Typical
that,
throughout.
what does that note say?
Typical throughout.
Vinyl siding.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Vinyl
no, it's
cedar
just- yeah,
shake.
Cedar
Okay,
shake.
yes, all right,
Put an X through that.
yeah, that doesn't belong there.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. The vinyl cedar shakes was interesting too, on
Yeah.
another level. I know, that was all, I agree with the chairman, it got better.
All right, Michelle?
Yeah, I don't have comments. I missed this, the first round, so.
All right.
No.
I'll prefer to
All
yours.
good? Is there, we can close the, because we're receiving your documents, is there anybody here that would like to speak in favor? Name and address?
Vincent Godin, 28 Harvard Way. I'm actually here for a different matter, but since I'm directly across the street, I think the plans look great. I think it's going to make it look nicer, so I'm all for it.
Great.
Yes, this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody in the audience against, or would like to just speak? Hearing none, nobody? Is there a motion to be had?
I'll make a motion to accept the new documents that put the height below 35 feet and the skirt included.
Yes.
Second?
Okay, so we had made a motion previously to a favorable motion if there was some adjustments to be made. So
I'll tweak it,
you have the draft.
yes.
So we'll tweak the draft to include these drawings and the comments that the deck has been lowered and that the skirt is found acceptable by the board. And we'll draft a decision to be reviewed.
Are you gonna vote this evening? Or are you gonna wait for the draft decision to
We
then
usually
vote?
just wait for the draft decision and vote.
Okay,
I think that's our standard course of action.
sounds like we're in good shape then, thank you.
You are in good standing.
Okay.
We need just a little bit of time to make it all happen.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Sheila.
Nope. My turn. Okay, Sue, do you want to do the sunset? Yep. Next is 28 Old Point Road Sunset Club. Discussion on minor versus major changes, modifications to the ZBA approved pavilion structure site plan submitted to the planning board. Board has determined that changes constitute a minor modification. New sets of photographs provided by the applicant for board review.
And this is a continuation, right?
Yes.
Yes.
It's a continuation from last
Applicant?
November.
Hi, Vincent Godin. I'm one of the owners of the property. So what we submitted, it's not 7X, but
Sorry.
no, does everyone have copies of the images? If not, I have some extras.
I've seen them, but I'll take one.
Sure.
I've seen the other ones.
You've seen these, okay. Okay, so I think when we had submitted back in October, the idea of doing a horizontal louver system, there was a little bit of misunderstanding with the metal cut sheet that was done. That was really meant to show the calculation of the airflow through it, not show what the actual louvers were gonna look like. They're anticipated to be just wood slatting, essentially, just turned. This will allow, as you're approaching the pavilion, more and more of it will become more open as you get closer and closer to it, walk by it. But it'll still accomplish the whole goal of what we were trying to do, which is block the rain from entering as well as the sun from entering. Because that was the entire intent of getting the pavilion. So I think this kind of gives something that provides the open space that the board had requested while still accomplishing what we need for the restaurant operations.
And in the rendering that we're looking at, is the structural and the horizontal louver all painted the same color?
Yeah, this is not going to be the representative so much of the color, it's more of the other images of the grays.
Okay.
There was the thought that we were going to do a slightly different gray for the trusses from the louvers, just a variation of grays, just so it gives a little more.
Something darker in the back?
Exactly.
Okay. And is this representative of the size that these are larger boards?
We're still need to figure that out with the builder to figure out what's going to be the ideal, whether they're going to be 8-inch boards or 6-inch boards. But they're, either way, no matter what it is, it's going to be at the angle to provide the same amount of airflow and
But
visibility.
they're 8 to 6, they're not like 1 or 2?
No. They're going to be sizable. Yes.
Yep, what's the
Space
spacing?
between?
Thank you, Mario.
It'll depend on actually the size of the board because it's all just a calculation. If you imagine what it'll be is that the bottom of one slat that's going down in this way will be lining up to the beginning of the next slat. That way it does not allow any sort of rain to come through when it's coming at an angle, but when you're approaching it, you'll see right up into it.
Because looking at this, it looks like the space is greater than what you kind of just mentioned.
That's because you're looking up at it. So the way it ends up being is if you look at the other image, you really can't, it almost looks like it's more of a solid structure from very far away, and as you get closer to it, you can see up into it.
So these, you get me all confused here now, which is easy to do. These appear to be nailed flat on the trusses. You're saying they're...
No, they're at an angle, yeah.
They're at an angle,
That's just
kinda
the
like
best
the
that they were
Louvre
able to do as an image.
Like that?
So,
So
and the bottom of this one equals the top of this one.
So there's no light going through
No.
except at an angle, there's
If
no
you're-
see-through.
If you're down here, you're looking up into it.
At the
If you're
roof.
out here, it's looking more solid.
It's pretty far away right there, and that looks like there's a lot of space.
I was expecting something that we could see through. That's what we approved the first time, and now this is the third version that we've got, where it's impervious to
Well,
light.
when this was first approved a couple years ago, I was at those meetings and the discussions that happened when we turned it, when it was originally proposed to go north-south, and there was a discussion that you did not want to see all that roof line, and it was turned, the first thing that was said was, we can do that, but the only way for it to accomplish what we need is that the gable has to be covered. Otherwise, you're just letting in all the roof, all the sun, all the rain, and that was discussed in that meeting. I can cue it up. We can have that discussion. What ended up happening was, when it got approved, the picture that got thrown in there was the original picture that showed it open, even though the discussion was it would have to be closed, because I'll be completely honest, we wouldn't put up the pavilion if the gables are open. It's going to defeat the entire purpose of what it needs to do, which is to protect people from rain and sun. And the majority of the rain and sun comes from either the east or the west, depending on the way the storms are coming.
Well, that's one solution.
For my opinion, I don't have a problem with this. I think it does block light, which it should, in a way, not cause evening light pollution in terms of spilling out. Louvers do have openness if there's any breeze that comes through. I guess the point that in terms of looking through it, unless there's a certain distance away that it will look solid, then when you start to approach it and you can look up into the louvers, then you can, this is fairly tall, it's up here, and you're a person down here, you're going to see light in between the louvers as you look through it.
I understand that, I just didn't see it in this, it's not in this.
That's what's been tricky, is we've never actually seen an image of what you're describing, I think, so every time it's a little different, and it's still not, I think, what you're trying to do. So are these boards on the outside of the structure? Because these are shown behind the structure, but
They're going to be
technically-
attached
but that
either.
technically doesn't work.
No, they're going to be attached kind of in the trusses going across at.
You can see through
So the same.
And just
the
a
same
clarification
plan
of the idea of
as,
seeing through it, I
You know,
went on
it's
Google
solid.
Earth.
I think what you're saying-
From where it's gonna sit, like if you're driving over the bridge as an example, the actual angle of where this pavilion sits goes out into the marsh towards the river area. It doesn't, even if you're at the bridge, all you would be seeing is the back of
Yeah, they're saying
the
like a little space. Just-
of the roof. You would not see through it. It's not lined up with the bridge so that you can see through it when you're driving on the island. Because it's naturally, I mean, you assume that's the area, but it's tilted more towards the river and the Joppa Flats area. So unless you're in the middle of Joppa Flats at the right angle, you're not seeing through it, even if it was open.
I think we, in terms of commercial and the limiting of the commercial, we probably don't have great bylaws about lighting, and so trying to me, to limit the light for evening, to within the pavilion and on the ground is important. I think we were discussing that the openness is something that allows air through, and again, it's something that doesn't create mass or excessive mass. And if something has some openness to it, then it obviously has less mass or less density to it.
I believe in the meeting in October, it was thought that the board would be happy with something that had at least 25% kind of airflow through it, was what was discussed, and what's being proposed is actually double that at 50%. So we've gone,
50% is pretty standard for the maximum airflow through.
Yeah, I wasn't buying the louver, I didn't know they were selling the louvers. So, I mean, if everybody's on board with louvers, I will not hold them up.
So I was suggesting openness, and then I was suggesting some percentage so that we had something to gauge, and I threw out 25% is just a number, and to come back with at least 50% open in terms of airflow seems very positive. So that's how, I think that is how the discussion went. That's how we're here, whether we call it blocking or whether we call it a louver, but I think the intent for submitting the metal louver was to prove out that they would at least provide 50%, because that was a cut sheet that had a calculation on it, and that's what you were trying to prove out something
Right.
to us.
Yeah, I guess I'm not worried about light pollution in terms of, I think, the amount of hours that there's lights on for the majority of your season is not very much compared to during the day, how much you're open and how much a part of Plum Island, the experience is coming over the bridge and coming back, from the beach and things like that. So I guess the light pollution isn't really a concern for me. I think also the original approval showed the lights within the structure that were, so they wouldn't be spilling over, they wouldn't be leaking out. So I guess that part's not concerned. It's always just been the openness for me.
Would you consider any type of, a little bit more openness on the shutter? Keeping the same angle, but just a little bit of space in between, just to let some light?
So basically, if you did a smaller bore but kept the angle, if Eric, on your
Or
sketch there,
Or the same board, but just a little lower, so it didn't meet the top, just a little bit more.
Yeah.
Would that work?
I mean, as long as it's not letting in the whole purpose of this is to not let in the sun and rain. I mean, I'm open for anything that accomplishes that. So the way that usually louvers work though is the bottom of one is the top of the other, but the minute you're near it, it looks, if you're standing at the angle that they are, so if you're gonna be 20 feet from this, you're not even gonna see the boards, because all you're gonna see is the whatever quarter, half inch of the board, and it's gonna look like it's wide open inside of it, because you're gonna just be seeing through these gaps, and then you're gonna have every foot or so, you're gonna have a little board, and it's gonna look wide open when you're standing
I
in
think the
front of
point
it.
is driving up to the island,
exactly,
the
it's not
massing
being
is.
close, it's
yeah,
from far away, that's the
Right.
problem.
I mean-
And that's
Driving
what-
into giant
I think we
block.
understand when you're close up.
No, I
you look
understand
up.
that, but I think we also need to recognize that the other corner also just had a 35-foot mass approved on it.
That is set back though further from the property line, from the street. That's set back further. This
Vincent,
is,
does
this
something
is
like
fairly
this-
close to the property line, to the sidewalk.
Sorry.
This is the alignment of the bottom to the top.
Yep.
This is, say this is 6 inches.
Yep.
There's 1 inch.
I think that could accomplish
back
the
here.
same thing,
Yeah.
because especially if the boards are big enough, it'll create enough of that. You'll still see through, but it'll stop any rain
Oh, the rain will have to be coming at you
Exactly,
horizontally.
exactly.
So there might be a little light,
Yes.
but there
Yeah.
would be definitely rain.
And now,
It is a
now
sunset club, right?
No, I would 100%, I mean, I think that's very reasonable, and
I
that's,
think this is sort of what we were hoping for more, is just seeing more.
When you come
light
over, yeah,
through
you
it.
can see that kind of through it, maybe it's a little blue or something.
right.
So it would be a little light that creates some kind of festivity.
Well, and remember, that's only gonna be when you're very far away. The minute you're within a few hundred yards, you're gonna start seeing more and more inside of it to the point where
It's even better.
where it's gonna look like it is open to it.
So are we accepting the chairman's
I was
drawing?
gonna say-
Are you gonna be-
No, but I think this is kind of important though, of what we are approving,
Yes.
because there seems to be confusion of what was approved originally from what we thought we were approving, and I think what you guys thought we approved, because of the discussion. So I think that's a good question, is how can we document this? Do we take a picture of this, or what?
Sure.
You know, how do we document
We
it?
could, I don't know, I could give this to you, you could take it to your builder, you could make sure it works.
I mean, I think the easy way is if we just describe that there's gonna be a 1-inch
1 inch,
gap
2 inch, yeah, whatever.
between the board, at least a
And give us
1-inch
the size
gap.
of the boards, so that's important. You know,
I think just a quick sketch like this is what we need.
So
I think that's,
let's say, so that we can move things forward.
Yep.
I think you'd like that the height of the height of the boards will be spaced 6 inches. There'll be a 1-inch gap straight through.
Yep.
And the board will be tilted back so that the tilted board's vertical height is 5 inches.
Perfect.
And we'll
Yep.
write that in
Yep.
text.
And that's what I'll give to the builder, and that's what they'll build. Yep.
Jack, yes, Michelle?
Agreed.
Agreed, Mario?
Yep.
Good, good.
Are we doing a memo, a letter, not a decision, because it's not a hearing?
yeah.
Were you gonna provide an email to me, and
Yes,
then I provide it?
so I will make a motion.
Wait, before you do, excuse me, the 6 inches thing gets me, a 6-inch board is 5 1/4, 5 1/2? What are we going for here, 6 or 5 1/2, or?
So the vertical height is 6 inches from bottom of board to bottom of board. So the,
Okay, I see what you're saying, you're not specifying the height of the board, you're specifying the space.
yeah,
Very good.
yeah.
Solves that.
So that way though, even if the boards are larger, the space should still be
Correct.
An inch. Yeah, and if, okay, so,
These builders are tricky, we gotta watch out for them.
Well, that's what I mean, we're saying,
like
oh,
being a
1-inch
builder.
gap, and, yeah, but, you know, that can turn into many different things, I think.
okay, so I would propose to draft a letter that outlines the acceptable solution of the end gable design.
Mhm.
And I will state in text, and if I'm feeling great, I'll make a nice sketch, but I'll probably just put it in text that says that the vertical spacing of the boards will be 6 inches, and there will be at least a 1-inch gap.
Okay.
And if lumber metrics change, then you will hold at least 1 inch, but you can modify slightly to get to dimensional lumber, so we're not having you cut
Right.
a 1/4 of an inch off the board, just to make the text. So there's, a little leeway there.
Okay.
I like this.
Right.
Second?
Yeah.
Your motion?
Is there a second to that one?
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. All right, so it passes.
Great.
We'll draft a memo.
I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Questions, I'll call
Thanks for your
you.
patience.
No, no problem.
Thank you. Okay. Michael and Michelle Mercurio, 7 Exeter Way. The applicants are requesting a special permit finding for relief from section 97-35C01, increase in footprint, and 02, increase in height of the Newbury zoning bylaws. and any other permanent relief as may be required under the Town of Newbury zoning bylaws to allow the proposed project for improvement to the existing non-conforming single-family dwelling, which consists of an addition of a second story and roof deck and the conversion of the bottom level of the house from a living area to a basement area to be used exclusively for storage and mechanical equipment on the property located at 7 Exeter Way, Plum Island, Newbury, Mass. 01951, Assessors Map U01, Lot 91.
Yeah, we can hear it.
Yes, thank you. Is it okay if I present from here?
Yep.
Sure.
Okay, for the record, Jeff Roloff representing Michael and Michelle Mercurio, who are both here this evening. They are the applicants and current tenants, prospective purchasers of the property. The owners of the property, Danielle and James Bradshaw, are also here this evening. They own the house and also live almost across the street. I'll have some figures where you can see that. And our architect, Andrew Jones, is here as well. I'm going to go through some slides. There's going to be some elements of the architectural details in what I'm presenting, but I'm going to ultimately turn it over to Andrew to get into the details of that. So if you have questions on architecture, I would suggest that you wait until he's up and working through his drawings. Okay, 7 Exeter Way. So let's see, what do we got? Neighborhood, Exeter Way, sort of, you can see 7 Exeter Way is circled there. A few of my figures have north to the top, and some have it north to the south. And the reason that's the case is because when you're looking at this property from the street, you're actually looking south. So I just point that out because you're going to see things that get twisted around from image to image. So this is looking south. North is to the bottom. Now we're looking, this is Exeter Way. We've circled 7 Exeter Way, the existing building. I do want to point out here as you're looking at this, the property to the right, that vegetated space to the right there, is a piece of land associated with the house on Fordham Way behind it. It's actually 2 lots in the assessors, but it's one sewer tie-in. So it's basically 1 lot. And I just mentioned that there's no house there. That comes into the evaluation of impacts to the neighborhood. So it's an area that's not likely to ever be built on. This property happens to be outside of the flood zone, so we don't have any issues there. We haven't yet gone to the Conservation Commission, by the way, but we will probably be going to them just for a determination of no applicability. We don't expect to have to get an order of conditions. If we need it, we'll get it. So this is a view into the property. The lot itself is non-conforming with respect to lot area. It's a pretty small lot, 6,177 square feet, 60 feet of frontage. The structure is non-conforming with respect to FAR at 0.31, lot coverage at 28%, and there's a side setback on the west side, the side with that vegetated area, and the deck of only 9.8 feet. There's a grade change through the property from west to east. You can see the retaining wall there along the driveway. So it pretty much comes straight across and then drops down to the driveway. The existing house is a 3-bedroom house. It's 2 stories because the basement, as it's currently configured, is an active living space. There's an office bedroom type space there, a bathroom. It's only got 6 feet 6 inches of height. But it actually, as you calculate it out under the approach that the bylaw calls for, it's considered living space and it's considered a story right now. So that was all brought into the calculations that were included on the survey plan that we submitted. This is the survey plan. Our surveyor's not here. I'm not going to get into too much of this, but that's the plan that was submitted with our application. The blue on that plan is the proposed footprint. You can see that it matches the existing footprint. I've highlighted in yellow the existing non-conforming aspects of the building. And that brings us to the proposed improvements. It's a pretty simple concept. It's going to be an upward extension of the existing building within the existing footprint, adding second story There's a concealed roof deck in there that's not going to be very, I call it concealed because you're not going to see it. It's on the plans. But it's built into the roof line. Andrew can get into that. The lowest level is going to be converted to a basement storage area only. And that's going to happen by taking out all the interior walls and removing the bathroom facilities. There's also a small grade adjustment in the corner. As you're looking into the driveway, it's the back left corner of the building. They're just going to elevate some of the grade there and put a small garden in there. These are the calculations. Again, we can go back to this if there's something there that you want to get into. I don't plan to walk through that now. The architectural design, when I first got involved with this project, the design was quite different actually than what you're seeing here. I was contacted for this to get involved with this project as we were just finishing up on the Plum Island Grill property, and I was pretty sensitive to concerns that you would raise there with respect to FAR and sort of massing issues. So I worked with Mike and Andrew to really scale this back. He's not looking to this isn't a situation where he's building something out looking to sell it. He's looking to buy this house and move into this, and it's a modest build out that he's proposing, or that they are proposing. We think it fits well with the neighborhood and with the lot, even though it's a small lot. The proposed structure is going to go, obviously they're adding a floor, so it's going to go from 15.8 feet to 31.2. Again, that's shorter than what had been originally proposed. The living area is going up slightly to 2,128 square feet. It's a modest size. The FAR from 0.31 to 0.34, so a modest increase there. Lot coverage and bedroom count remains the same. The neighborhood context, these images are all in the package that we submitted if you've had a chance to look through that. But as I was poking around the neighborhood and looking at some of the Google Earth images, historical images, and digging up some of the zoning files associated with properties in the area, what became pretty clear was that the proposal to extend the building here up another story is pretty consistent with what's happened in a lot of properties in this neighborhood. So that's what I've tried to point out here. These are images from 2025 on the left, 2021 on the right. So we got a roughly 20-year period, and you can just see those properties circled in red on the right. Used to be, like this house is now, smaller single-story structures that were later extended upward to do basically what the Mercurios are proposing to do here. I will point out, and I think I'm right about this, the Bradshaws who own this property live in what used to be that yellow house and is now this house at the bottom, right?
Yeah.
So this house here, that was an upward extension. One of the issues that came up in their application was they also had a basement, and the ZBA, as part of its approval process, required them to convert it from a space that could be used for living area to make it clearly a space that would only be used for storage and mechanical equipment. So that sort of led us to that. That supported the concept that we were proposing here. This is just a different view of some of those properties. With all these different lines, it's a little bit confusing, but just starting on the bottom. So now we've got 7 Exeter Way here, north to the top, right? So Fordham Way is down at the bottom here. So these two buildings here are on Fordham Way. I can't tell if that is 2 stories, but this is one of the ones that was extended upwards over time. This building here, you can see this. This is actually a view from Exeter Way, but that is the back with the cupola on the top of the building right behind it. This building just to the left, as you're looking at 7 Exeter Way, is this building here. Upward extension, of course, the history, and that's another image of it, and another image of it here. And then directly across the street from 7 Exeter Way is this house up here. So the proposal, we think, is consistent with changes that have occurred in the neighborhood. Again, most of these changes in this neighborhood are pretty modest. expansions or mostly upward extensions of what was already there. So with that, I'm gonna turn it over to Andrew. And Andrew, if you want, I can flip through your slides.
Perfect.
If you wanna just stand up here and.
Good evening, board members. Andrew Jones, Associate Architect at Phoenix Architects. So I'll just go through the slides real quick. This is the existing photos of the house that you're seeing now. So even though it's a 2-story, it's really kind of like a 1.5-story ranch. You'll see the upper floor, and then the lower floor, even though there's that grade change, it's not fully, walkout on that side. Still a few steps down. The basement's only roughly 6.5 feet. So to today's standards, doesn't even meet code as far as ceiling height. If you can move to the next one. This is going to be...
Just a quick question. What's the, if you go back, what's the distance between the floor and the grade there? Of the basement?
So that basement wall is roughly like 5.5 feet to the
So
side.
what's below grade? What's the distance below grade?
It's about like another 1.5 to 2 feet.
Below
So
grade.
there's about 3 steps down. There's a little doghouse on the side, and you take 3 steps down, and you're
You're on
at
the floor.
the basement floor.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is the proposed front graphic. You can just move forward, and maybe we can circle back here.
Yeah.
So these are the existing plans. To the left, you're seeing the basement. So as I was saying, the doghouse to the left, you take a couple steps down, you're in the basement area. Our plan's just to completely gut it, bring it back to just, foundation wall, all the HVAC, electrical, all that's gonna go down there. New stairs down, but we're keeping it simple and just strictly utility down there. And then upstairs, you'll see right now, it's a little unconventional. You come up to the deck on the right-hand side that we're maintaining. And from the deck, you actually come into the front door, kind of an open concept dining, living, kitchen, 2 bedrooms in the back. And that's pretty much the layout that's there right now, just kind of a ranch style home. These are the elevations that you see in, so you can start to see the grade change in the front elevation that dropped down roughly 4 feet. And then that existing photo from the first slide, you're kind of seeing on the rear elevation there with those 2 windows in the basement. You can go to the next slide. So this is what we're proposing. So we're maintaining the little doghouse walk down just strictly for storage, beach stuff. You're seeing that little retaining wall. We're bringing up the grade on the left-hand side, kind of matching around the rest of the grade. And then as far as the first floor goes, we're trying to create a front entry. As before, when you're on the street, there's not really a front door. You come up the deck and then you come in through a side door. So what we're really trying to do here is give it a very conventional look and feel, where you come up to a front porch, come into the front entry and foyer. To the right, you could go over to the deck, but you'd come through a mudroom, nice sized kitchen, open concept dining, living room in the back. We're showing a small little office there in the back right hand side, bathroom, and then stairs going down to the basement, stairs going up now. Jeff, if you want to go to the next one. You go upstairs towards the front of the house, which would be from the street. You see 2 bedrooms there, showing a laundry, bathroom for those 2 bedrooms, and then the back is going to be the primary suite, so walk-in closet, another bathroom. And then as Jeff was mentioning, we did scale this back, even though you guys didn't see it before. Before, we were really creating this big cupola where you come up the stairs, and we were actually creating like a little room up there. Now it's more like a widow's walk. You come up the stairs, there's a door that just leads you directly to the roof deck. So it's really utilitarian now. As far as that upper floor, it's really just to get you out into the roof deck. I'll kind of explain the roof lines and what we're doing within the roof deck in the next slide. Front elevation, so you're starting to see up top, that's the kind of what I'm calling like a widow's walk, where the stairs bring you up and into the roof deck. You can start to see the front door, trying to create a front facade that is missing from the house itself right now. And we're giving it a nice coastal kind of charm to it. You'll see the swoops and a lot of nice roof lines now, and really trying to bring up the architectural elements to this house. Jeff, if you want to go to the next one. This is the left elevation. So you can start to see here, I show a little person. The roof deck's gonna be hidden by the roof line. So what we're doing is pretty much like a little parapet wall that goes up 3.5 feet and then goes to flat. So that's gonna act as a railing. So a lot of what, if there's gonna be furniture or anything up there, you wouldn't see it from the street. It's all gonna be hidden within the roof line itself, which I think is a really nice feature. Then you see in there the little boxed bay, which is in the stairwell itself. So just a nice architectural feature as you're going up the stairs. It's the rear elevation. So you'll see we reduced the windows down in the basement. Really the only reason why we're keeping it is the openings there and just for ventilation if needed. I know it can get moist down there, so it's really, that's the sole purpose of that. Jeff, if you want to go to the next slide. And then this is the deck side of it. So removing what was the front door there, just put in a couple multi-slide doors out to the deck that's there now, but the footprint doesn't change, it all kind of stays the same. And then this is just like a little cut sheet of the materials, so we're planning on doing some nice, architectural materials to it. So Serentide gray shingles, we're doing all AZAC throughout, so fascias, soffits, trim around the windows, all gonna be AZAC. Anderson 400 series with the STL within the windows, and then cedar shake siding. So no vinyl as far as that goes. We're going to do actual cedar shakes, which I think is going to give a nice look to it, nice coastal look. And then that's a before and after.
That's it. Thank you, Andrew. So, and then obviously the relief we're looking for here is special permit under the PIAD provisions for an upward extension of an existing non-conforming single-family home. And for the reasons we've explained, we think that the proposal meets or would support a finding that the proposed improvements will not be substantially more detrimental than the existing non-conforming structure to the neighborhood or the PIAD, the standards articulated in the bylaw. So with that, I'll turn it back to the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments or questions?
I have a question. In the proposed packet you guys sent us, the basement is not covered at all under the FAR, correct?
The basement is not covered in the FAR for the proposed condition. It's covered, but the FAR calculations for existing and proposed are included on the survey. And
So when you came up with 34,
Yeah.
did that include the basement?
The 34 does not include the basement, correct? Because it's not considered a living area, and as calculated, it doesn't actually count as a story either any longer, even though it does now. So those calculations, I'm trying to get up to them, those calculations are laid out here. So it's the reason it's not considered a living area for FAR purposes, and Peter agrees with this, is a combination of the the proposed condition being such that that basement will be a story, but also because we're stripping out all the living area from it. So it falls then into the definition of an excluded basement area.
The only reason I
Yep.
say that, because when I looked at the bylaws, under
Yep.
the definition for FAR,
Yep.
it says under the definition, a basement that is finished and inside the thermal envelope must be included in the gross floor area, even if you change its use from living space to storage and mechanical.
Right. So that's why we're not just changing the use, but we're stripping out all the finishings. So it's not going to be a finished basement. It's not going to be a finished
But it
space.
says even if it's for storage and mechanical, it
Well,
still
that's-
has to be included.
Well, if it's a livable area.
Doesn't say that.
Well, let's look at it. Maybe let's just look
And
at
I'll
it.
give you,
No, that's fair. Let's look at it together, because we talked a lot about this as we were coming into it.
go ahead.
You did mention though, if it's within the heated capsule. If it's just a basement, it's not in the heated capsule.
Yeah, it's
not
gonna be
conditioned
unheated, it's unconditioned,
Yes.
and it says it in the plans that it,
Well, there's another definition too.
So
Same-
suspended basements outside the thermal envelope shall not be counted as gross floor area. That's why it's not being counted
Because it's a
anymore.
suspended basement?
Yes.
So my issue with that is, I had the same thing Mario did. It says a suspended basement is 250 square feet or less. Are we 250 square feet or less? It also says a suspended basement can only be accessed from the exterior. I think we got that. And has no direct access from the building.
It
Has a
does.
maximum ceiling height of 6'2". I think we said we were 6'6". So that's, so I'm not sure where we are with those.
Maximum ceiling height. Well, let's check the area. No, it does exceed that, so. Huh. I don't know if we qualify for that criteria as a suspended basement, but it is outside of the thermal envelope. I mean, that's what the purpose of stripping out all these walls and everything was, to specifically not just say that we were gonna only use it for storage, but to render it unusable as a living space, because it's no longer gonna be a conditioned space.
Correct. I agree it's
Right.
not conditioned. I think we all agree.
And that's,
And just going back to that other point here, it says, even if you change its use from living space to storage and mechanical.
each floor level. So, but that kind of, so in the floor area gross definition, you have to count each floor area, which I think brings us to the definition of story. Story then is defined in a very specific way when you tune into the story above grade, and that calculation is what is done there by the surveyor, right? So,
So I have the definition of story for Plum
Yep.
Island.
okay,
I don't know if you have it.
I do, I'm looking at it.
Is that define the portion of a building included between
Yes,
upper surface, excluding attics that have no habitable area and have use solely for storage?
yep,
Intermediate levels such as mezzanines, lofts, and penthouse shall be counted as a story.
right, okay. And then the next definition below that is story above grade. Any story having its finished floor surface entirely above grade except that, and then it defines when you count a basement as a story.
I don't have that.
That's in the next,
Is that?
it's the next definition in the zoning bylaw, so I don't know what you're working on.
Yeah, I just cut out the
Yep,
pieces.
that's fine.
Yeah.
So that next definition, it basically explains when you have to count a basement as a story.
And two below that is the definition of suspended basement that I quoted.
Yes,
We're on
and
the same
that,
page, but we might not be on the same page.
no, I know, yeah,
Yeah, it says more than 6 feet above grade. Right?
right, so there's three ways that a basement can be, there's three ways that a basement can become a story under that story above grade. And what the surveyor does here, I should point out, this existing word is supposed to be proposed. The existing is over here. This is the existing calculation. This is off the survey form. This is the proposed basement, and the grade plane, he does the math in the proposed condition, and as proposed, less than 50% of the basement is above grade. And for that reason, it doesn't trip the requirement, that it doesn't trigger what would cause it to be a story.
So if it's not a story and it's not a suspended basement, what is it?
It's not a floor, that's what I'm getting at. So when we talk about floor area, living area, it's not a floor. And then I'll also point back to the definition of story.
So I guess
yeah.
Michelle just mentioned something. That just says it's not a story above grade.
Above grade, which I don't think anyone's debating, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
But that
okay.
means it's not a story, I think, because,
Above grade.
okay, it's
Well-
not a story above grade.
Yeah, it's not a story above grade.
What do you call a floor then, right? When you're counting living area and you're trying to include
From
all these spaces that are, living area is habitable space. The only thing I think in Newbury's bylaw that counts something different than that is the exterior area is under a roof, right? Because you wanted to do that for good reasons. obviously, when it excluded an attic that's not habitable, it would have been great if they had just said
Basement.
a basement also that's not above grade and it's not habitable, for, even if it's for other reasons. So here, talking through it with you, I don't think there's anything that's locking down a specific, there's not a clear answer. But I think the intent here is to not count as living area a space like this that's not a basement above grade, it's not a story above grade, it's also not finished, there's no conditioning of the space. We've taken out all the walls.
But in the definition here, it does say even if it's not finished.
Yep, so that alone isn't enough. It's the combination of factors that I'm getting at that pulls it out of the
So we have
intent.
to take the living space out because that's nowhere does it say living space in here, that it's included.
The living area in the proposed condition is not included, right? That's what we've been saying.
No, I'm saying that it's not saying that it's livable or or livable. It says here, it's neither. Be included in the FAR.
So,
They're saying it's either, can be storage and mechanical, which no one's gonna live in.
Can I just grab my copy
Sure.
back?
so for the purposes of what we're looking at, the story deals with height, right? It's whether it's counted as,
In the FAR.
in the bar, right? And then whether it's occupiable or not is the question. And I guess the understanding of what it is and, you know, what it could be. They are, and then you take the whole, let's take the whole thing into account. So basically, you have an existing structure that includes a deck, and then you're gonna modify it, or you're gonna take it down? Is this like full demo, or is this?
The deck?
The
house?
The house.
The whole thing?
No, we're gonna, no, modify it.
You're gonna modify it?
Yes.
So it's non-conforming, pre-existing in terms of its location on the property because of the side yard setback. And I have to say that with the deck, the existing deck, that your side yard setback is 0 on the right-hand side, A, because the deck touches the property line.
Yeah, if you count decks in the setback, then you're correct. So that would be 0 and 0. We're not changing the deck either way. That's an existing non-conforming.
So
So
that's-
yeah, we could correct that, yep.
So that's a correction on the
Yep.
application. But in a sense, they are taking a pre-existing nonconformity in terms of the lot area is not changing, the frontage isn't changing, the lot area is not changing, although it's +8 over the PIOD, it's not changing. The FAR is increasing. The front yard is the same. The side yard A, which being the right side, is 0, but it's not changing. The side yard B is not changing, and the front yard setback is not changing. The height is increasing, but it's under the allowable, and the beds are not changing from 3 to 3. So if the question here is really that the FAR is the only thing to increase, exacerbate, increase, whatever you want to say, it's getting bigger as opposed to everything else is truly staying the same. Is that the issue on the table to discuss in terms of what is here? If you have an existing and you're replacing the existing, or you're doing something to the existing and it's no more detrimental, it's really no more detrimental, right? There's no argument.
Yeah, regardless of what the number is, but
It's the same, the numbers, it's no more detrimental, it's basically the
Yeah.
exact same thing.
yeah.
Okay. So, in terms of other discussions that we've had in the past, we've always been very favorable to somebody that has nonconformities that are improved, right? Any nonconformity that is improved is a positive on the project, let's say. So if there are nonconformities and they're really not changing, that's one statement. If they're slightly changing, is the change from, what is the FAR going to again? Just like
10% increase from 31 to 34.
From .31 to .34.
Right, so that in terms of what is being presented, basically, what is there now is, and whatever they do, besides looking different, is gonna be the same in terms of its proportions and its metrics, except for the FAR, which will go up
10%.
10%.
Is the shed staying, existing shed?
We don't know, they own it. It's their shed.
Yes, the shed will stay,
We
yes.
don't know it, we can knock it down, it does not have to stay, whatever.
I don't, that's a good question, I don't know.
We're gonna increase the FAR, and someone else comes and
I'm
says, hey,
assuming
we're
you're
gonna
gonna
increase
go
10%.
He likes sheds.
In relation,
It's all
We don't
right.
want
but
that.
in
It's coming
relation
down
to
on
the
Okay,
other
well,
process, do we have any data of what we,
I haven't collected data on sort of the FAR expansions for the other properties, but as I point out, there have been a lot of upward extensions, so,
But we have a problem with the upward extension, that's fine.
yeah, I mean,
so that, it seems that in terms of everything that's going on, that the one question is the FAR, it's going up slightly, you are increasing it, and the question for us is really within the neighborhood, is it more detrimental for a 10% increase for this property for what's already existing? You could say the other nonconformities that are there, although the zero lot line deck is not favorable, it's not increasing or exacerbating the nonconformity.
yeah, and Mr. Chairman, while everyone's thinking through that, I think that sort of, you framed it up nicely. We haven't yet heard from the public, and I know you wanna do that, so maybe we should see if they contribute to any of this
Great.
question.
Great idea. All right, so here we are. Is there anybody in
Yes,
the
on the
audience
fire.
that would like to speak in favor of the project?
I'll speak. Hi, I'm Danielle Bradshaw. I'm a neighbor to them, also the owner, and I'm all for the project.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I'd second that.
You guys can speak too. It's your project, you can say you're in favor.
Michelle Mercurio, I'm in favor of the project.
In the intent of doing what you're doing, you're obviously trying to improve and upgrade the house.
Correct.
You're choosing to keep the existing bones and modify it
Yes.
as opposed to doing something else.
Correct.
Right. If you take away the base, if the basement is truly just storage, do you need the outside shed for?
Snow equipment, stuff. We don't, if that.
If it's a
makes-
sh- if it's a-
if it makes a judgment on you, we would get rid of it, yes.
Let's hold that thought. So what do you guys, let's take everything but the FAR. Does anybody have any questions about any of the other dimensional metrics, size, what's existing, what's going back?
I think the only, and actually, I have to look a little closer in the drawing, but the height is measured to the upper grade. Is that the mean grade? Right? So
It
I
is
had
from,
the same question.
it is from the upper grade, basically where the front steps are.
it should be measured from mean, average grade, right, mean grade.
Yeah.
Even if you went from the bottom,
You're
you're,
still below.
it's 31.3. So if you took the mean, which let's say 3 sides of it is at that dimension, and then you dropped it 4 feet, it would still be below that 35-foot threshold.
So let's just say that you're at 9 and you're at 12. so, you're at what, 10.5? And so even that, and when you do measure, you also measure,
Halfway point.
you measure, well, you don't, right, you don't measure to the mean, you're measuring to the top. So
So you're under, so that's fine.
you're 31, right, so you take off a foot and a half to get to the mean of the roof, let's say, and you
Yeah.
add a foot and a half for grade,
Exactly.
you're exactly where you are right now at 31.3.
Yeah.
Give it, take a rough calculation.
Yeah, I should have caught that one.
So,
It would have been favorable to get it lower.
in quick measurement, the deck is included, the shed is included in the lot coverage, so the lot coverage doesn't change. What is it about the FAR that is changing, that is, like, where is the FAR changing? Do we know that?
Yeah, because what you're doing is you're swapping out the basement. You're taking the basement living space, what's counted as living space in the current lowest floor. Let's not
because of the
call it a
crawl
basement.
space.
Yeah, and then you're gonna, for the existing condition, you're including that lower space. And then you're gonna instead wipe that out and count the second story in the proposed
Is it
condition.
the crawl space that is the difference?
Yeah.
Andrew,
Crawl
is that
space,
right?
exactly, there's a little bit up front
Correct.
that's not part of the
It's
finished basement.
Probably a
That's
five,
or
5'10" ceiling down there, Jim?
I'm sorry?
Huh? The
Yeah,
crawl space
that's-
ceiling?
That's making up the difference.
5'10", yeah. I hit my head on it a lot.
Downstairs,
Yeah,
this isn't counted, upstairs it is, but the volume of the box is not
Same.
changing.
Agreed.
Okay. So, understanding all that, let's go back to the FAR, and if it is, the FAR is increasing because this crawl space is not counted currently, but is counted upstairs, and the volume isn't changing, is that really considered an exacerbation in size and mass if it's already accounted for?
Only in terms of precedent, that's the only place I see.
But in terms of
Physical, no.
precedent.
I mean, I think there's some opportunity to, like the deck, to improve it, what's non-conformity right now.
Is there any, is the deck on your property? I mean, you don't have any issues because it's the back lot of somebody else, but is the deck on the line? Is the deck over the line, or does anybody really know, or
It's right up the line, right?
Yeah,
It's right on it.
are you rebuilding the deck?
Sorry?
Are you rebuilding the deck?
No. Resurfacing it, that's all.
I guess, in my opinion, if, I don't see the FAR increasing because the volume or the box isn't increasing. And so I don't see that as the volume is getting bigger in terms of what neighbors and the neighborhood can see and feel because it's already there.
Well, I mean, but you don't see half of it now, right, because it's pretty much below grade. Right, so you do see more volume than what you see now, right?
You get a little extra story.
Right.
You're
Yeah,
putting up
but
a extra
You
story,
have an
right?
extra story.
Yeah, but like, look at the other ones, I mean, it's, if, in terms of the box of the shape of the house, yes, it is increasing and they are expanding, but
The footprint
it's
remains.
not like the footprint is growing, it's not like it would create, there's an additional appendage that's creating more shade or shadow, it is the box that is going up. That's, I understand what you're saying, Michelle, but I still don't think it's all that detrimental when you look at the other houses and you look at the height and size of the other houses. It would be nice if somehow your deck didn't hit the property line. but
Yeah, it'd be nice to try to do something about the deck, I think.
Either that or the shed, you could
Well, I
increase the FAR on either one, and I don't think it would be painful.
the shed is lot coverage, the shed is not.
Oh, excuse me.
If they are.
Right.
Yeah.
But the decks are.
All right, so how do we like move this along? I think we're caught up on one line item out of 15. And would you guys agree with that statement, that it's really just the FAR that we're trying to understand and what the
Yeah,
basement
issue
plays in
with
it?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you can improve the deck, there's definitely,
So there's two. There's two,
If
the
we-
deck and the
and that,
FAR.
I do think the design is very nice though.
Excuse me?
Yeah, I
Big
think
improvement.
it definitely, yeah, it's a
Thank
very
you.
nice design.
Thank you. Good job.
I mean, so the deck is actually on an angle on the property line.
Yeah.
And I'm just pointing that out because
Literally just the front corner.
you could notch out that corner and probably establish a 2-foot setback by doing that. I don't know what that, I say that with knowing nothing about what that entails and what the impact is. And is that crazy to do something like that?
What, cut a little bit?
Just notch out the deck a little bit so you can establish a 2-foot setback from the property line.
I mean, that deck can host like 50 people on it.
The deck is really long.
It's a big deck.
Exactly, I think you're
If
not
we pushed it
sacrificing
back
very
from
much,
the
but it
front.
would improve one of the non-conformities.
I mean, just personally, just looking at it, if you took a little bit out of the front where it's sitting, cut it back a little bit, it's not gonna
Maybe
affect
just
it.
hit like a balcony in the front instead of the steps and then.
Just enough for the front
Yeah.
porch that we're proposing, where you can go around still onto it, but, and then let it come back to its normal one.
Did you,
Or you could start it where your dimensional.
It's a lot easier for me to change than
Yeah,
like
it's
the
43
cut,
feet
but.
if you took off
can
10
you,
feet.
10 feet.
Yeah.
could you come up and maybe just,
Absolutely, I mean, I think there's a couple ways. Do you mind going to the architectural?
I don't, yes, let's, you wanna go to the architectural?
Yeah, just the proposed like first floor. So I think there's
Here.
two ways.
Oh yeah, here we go,
to do it.
okay.
Either we can kind of cut it like this, say from this post to that post. You just take it like that and notch a little piece out of it, so that you can still from the porch come around. Because I think that's a nice concept. From the porch, you can still get to the deck. So like red line here, red line there, and that will take away from it being right at the point. Or if you guys are okay with it and you don't really care about this concept of being able to come right from the porch to it, is just take that whole piece right off. So still from, you know, these two sliders, you could come out to it. I think either or would work, but yeah, something like
Yeah,
that.
within, as long as you're within 4 feet of that corner, that would be fine.
Got a question?
Yeah, I was just wondering, like, because it's not over the line, so like. according
Right
to-
on the line.
Like, right, ours across the street is almost identical to this situation where I think the corner of our deck, because it's, the property line's angled just like that, and the corner of our deck ends up, I wanna say they said like 18 inches on their property. But they were all right when they bought the house, the people behind us, and they put up a fence, blah, blah, blah. But the thing is this here, this deck that we're talking about here, this abuts an empty lot that's unbuildable. Nobody's ever gonna be able to build it. So that's the only reason why
You
I'm
say that
asking
now.
is-
Until.
That has anything to do with it as far as.
Well, they don't have a sewer
They don't have a
connection
sewer
there, so that's
stuff.
gonna be a massive
And they don't have
challenge,
frontage.
as you know.
Not enough frontage.
it's, yes, and so as you're, you know, you're increasing and exacerbating, and we could make an argument for that, and if you're giving back something, we can, in all honesty, say that you gave a little and you're getting a little, and it's
We
even.
understand that.
And,
Yeah.
and then that premise goes for your neighbors and anybody else as well,
Yes.
right? And so people that come in here and want more and want more and want more, then we will become the board of more, and we're trying to hold the line somehow
Absolutely.
and be fair to you and be fair to your neighbors, and whether your neighbors have or haven't built yet, they have rights and you have rights, and within the PIOD, we're just trying to make sure the neighborhood all has the same rights. So we're not trying to be too picky and too
No.
painful,
We
but we are
understand.
looking for the premise that you're not totally exacerbating, and if you're increasing a little, you are fixing something, or you're making something better,
Mhm.
and the two are favorable in terms of the project.
So let me just ask then, what kind of feels right to you in terms of, is making a change here, which we can think about and propose, to accomplish a 2-foot setback where we currently have 0? Is that feeling like that's an improvement worth noting? Is it, or?
Yeah, you're taking something off the property line and your building is off the property line.
Okay.
Well, isn't it, like if we did that rectangle, isn't that a lot more than 2 feet?
It might even be more than 2 feet.
Yeah.
I guess I want to see it on the
10-foot deck or
survey
something.
plan. I'm just trying to get a sense, if we're talking about kind of numbers here.
We're looking for improvement. We would
Yeah.
think that you'd want to logically figure out how the deck is structured
That's
so
right.
that you're not
So at one time, I just want to look at what makes
going
sense.
through
So,
super
alright.
hoops in order to
Yeah.
do it, but we are looking for something.
Okay.
And, the 2
Just
feet would be
my
great.
opinion, because it's gonna be them, it's gonna be their deck or whatever, but
Yep.
in my opinion, if it was like one or the other, whether it be the deck or the shed, I mean, if I were you guys, I would do the shed, just because the deck is so narrow already.
But the deck is more, the deck
No,
is.
I think it's actually 2 separate
Well, I mean, I don't,
issues.
it just,
I mean,
it
I would
sounded
get
like
rid of
it
the
was
shed
like one or
still
the
too,
other.
personally, I would
We were looking
suggest
for
getting rid of
ideas.
the shed.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
The deck is on the property line. If
Yeah.
you pull your deck off the property line, then you have a pre-existing non-conforming, but it's not on the property line.
No, I just wanted, because it sounded like it was one or the other, but
So,
if it was, may I want.
I think we would be very favorable if the deck was kind of modified, and I don't think anybody would have a problem with
this is
anything
right on the
else.
line here,
Right.
so they're trying to get 2 feet,
Yeah,
right, so if we take that deck and just basically bring it back to here?
yeah, we could
Okay.
do that too, and I think that'd be cleaner
Yeah.
than trying to do the,
Yeah.
you know.
And get rid of that.
And I think
Yeah.
we could
Still
maybe
put
talk about the
steps
shed, and
from-
maybe putting in a
Yeah.
smaller shed even, just
We'll do
something
that.
that's gonna add some value. So what I would
Shed
like,
is less of an issue.
when I sit here and this sounds to me, this sounds positive. This sounds like we're moving in the right, we know what you want, I think.
Yes.
I'd like these guys to have a little time to think about it, obviously, and everyone wants the plan to reflect the final proposal. So the only reason I'm even talking and sort of balking right now is what I don't want to do is, I want to try to get this done at the next meeting, like done. So would you be, knowing that we're going to work on these topics, would you be comfortable, I don't know what you have to do, authorize the drafting of a decision, so at the next meeting, if what we present is satisfactory, you can vote and end it at that next meeting?
We can ask that a decision be drafted.
Right, yeah,
Without a vote. And I think we say that we think we're going in the right direction.
yeah,
Sometimes we would vote. I think here we just want to see it, and so in order
Yeah.
to do it all at once
Yeah.
and not have to draft it, and if that draft gets tweaked because there's a piece of language
Yeah.
of 2 feet or 3 feet, we could figure that out.
yeah,
So what I would do is I would propose a continuation, or make a motion to have a continuation to the next meeting. I would ask that we draft a decision, and that the decision states, and I can help you with that language, Chrissy, that basically the pre-existing non-conformings are the same except for the FAR, which increases from 31 to 34, and that the applicant has willingly made modifications to improve a pre-existing nonconformity of a zero-line setback to a favorable, I won't just say 2 feet from the moment. And if it's a little more, that's great. It would be nice if it wasn't less than 2 feet, but go look at it, please.
that would be great.
That's the motion. Is there a second? Second by Mario. All in favor of the motion? Aye. All right,
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
we're on a good path.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry, one more thing. Give us, doesn't involve you, but give us a second. So, as part of that motion, we will have the continuance to the next hearing, which is on
February 19th.
February 19th, my birthday. I want cake.
We're bringing
Okay,
cake.
stop that.
So we will continue this hearing to February 19th at 7:30 here on the second floor. You'll get the proper 3 things in there for a proper continuance. So a motion for continuance, second by Mario, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Project.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chrissy.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Supplemental due the week before.
Yeah, you too.
Okay.
Absolutely. Give me a phone, Mom. Get the number?
One thing I didn't add to the agenda.
Kevin?
No, I'm looking at this.
Oh, nice to meet you.
So Mason from Conservation is gonna draft up a memo to the zoning board that the recreation area has been completed and it's satisfactory, and his recommendation to release the bond.
That's
And that would
what
make Walker happy.
That's what we discussed. We are looking for our consultant to
Yeah.
tell us
Okay.
that it's favorable,
Let's talk.
and then we can say yes.
So they asked Mason to draft a letter, so he's gonna draft a letter to the board, so we
Yes,
can.
that's great.
Andrew, I want to talk to both of you. Can you wait 5 minutes? I just gotta get my.
All right, is there
Motion to close the meeting.
motion to close the meeting?
Thank you
Nice to
so
meet you.
much.
All those, second?
Second.
Second by Michelle, all those in favor? Aye.